There we go. We're live. It didn't even give me a 3, 2, 1 this time.
No, hey. Straight into it. Let's go.
All right. Welcome, wine lovers, winos, and the curious to week 8 of our spring wine series. And we're getting, the weather's warming up, so now it's getting to the point where it's going to be the summer wine series pretty soon. And today, you guys know, we were in our 80s today, here, mid-80s, and it felt more like summer. And actually, this wine that we're going to have today is going to be very complimentary, whether it's late spring or summer. It's a fun wine, and I think you're probably familiar with it.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because I love Spanish wines. I've never been to Spain. Craig, on the other hand.
World traveler over here.
Yes, I've been to Spain, and I've actually been to a vineyard that makes this wine on my last trip. You know, when we did a little bit of a wine journey, unrelated, but just because whenever I go somewhere, I always try to get into wineries, and it's a beautiful part. The Basque region is just gorgeous over there, and this is a very unique wine, and it's coming up in a lot of ways to where they're starting to make it better. It used to be just more of like a wine that people would have in their house or in a region, because I have other friends in Spain, they'd be like, never drink it out of the region, like they won't buy it, like it doesn't carry well. It's like it's not the same. You have to be there in San Sebastian or in the Basque region eating and drinking their foods with that wine, but now that's changing. Even for them, they're like, whoa, this one's pretty good. It actually drove all the way back to Zaragoza, you know, not that far in Spain, but it is it's just a, you know, just a mindset that they have over there. Some wines are just regionally, a lot of it is and that's regional, it. Right. But it just stays in that region. But I think this wine's, you know, it's making a move.
One thing that's fun, like you're talking about staying in region, they make actually Pinot Noir in Germany. They call it Spätburgunder. And
gonna go with the Pinot Noir as a better marketing
Spätburgunder, but they don't let it leave the area. I've had one because somebody actually shipped it out. They drink it all there. You know, they're like, no, you want to drink it, you come to see us.
Oh, wow.
We're not exporting it. Okay. So kind of a fun thing. But this is a lot of fun. I was introduced to this wine 20 plus years ago, and it was such a fun and unique wine that when I thought of the spring wine series, and actually when I originally set up the spring wine series, I forgot about it. And something came to my attention a few weeks ago, and I'm like, I gotta add this one because this is great. And Craig knows about it, and I can sit down with him and talk about it because this is going to be a fun experience. And I want to talk a little bit. Do you know about the pouring it from a height thing?
Yes,
What's the story with that? Because that's the craziest thing. I actually watched a video on it because when I was introduced to this, it was just a kind of a light to medium, light bodied basically wine, but it does have. It's not as light as a Sauvignon Blanc or Pinot Grigio. It's got a little more substance to it, but the acid levels are more balanced. And it does have a fleshiness to it, which I really enjoy. And I think it goes really well with a lot of different foods. And that's the way I was introduced to it years ago. And now I'm kind of reintroducing myself to it. And I started watching some of the videos, what they're pouring it from.
Yeah, well, it has that little bit of effervescence.
Effervescence,
yeah. Thank you. I'm struggling here. Probably because I didn't have a sip yet. But because what happens is they'll do that and they make the bubbles. So they'll have it. They don't pour it straight from the bottle with a cork. They have a certain little thing.
Yeah, they have a little hoodad.
Yeah, so it goes sideways. Then they go straight up. And actually, if you're online, and you have your phone next to you or something, and you want to take a look, or later, just check out @StayAdventurous on Instagram. If you look at my story from today, I put a couple of pictures of one lady doing it in one of the tapas bars, and then I showed a little bit of a vineyard that I went to, so you can see how beautiful it is there with the terraces and everything. And then also, but the last video is like 15 seconds. He pours 2 glasses on the street, and you can see you actually have to wait for it. Like they pour it way up here and then into this.
I'm gonna have you do that today.
Is that?
No, but we don't have the right. We don't have the right thing.
You just gotta aim correctly.
No, I mean we can try. It's not
We'll
it's
try.
the
We'll have some fun.
top, or it's like a spout. You're saying?
Yeah, it's a little bit sideways, so like it comes out like a so it'll be.
It's really unique. I was looking, I'm like, do I have anything like that anywhere in my house?
I don't have anything.
I didn't either.
Really?
So I kind of. But
well,
that would be something fun that we could do.
I may have had something. Yeah,
What
you never
along those
know what
lines?
I have in my stash.
See, this is what it'll look like. Just showing Justina here. See how they're pouring it from above? This is the bottle. You can't see it here, but it's on my story there. If you want to take
definitely
a look.
go to that. And by the way, now that we're getting to that point, my guest today.
Right. Yes.
And those of you who were here in I think it was week 2, we did Garnacha.
Yes.
And with Craig. And we were at the dive bar, and we had some fun trying.
So much more quiet here, right? I mean, it's such a different setting.
Yeah.
From noise
I'm
factor.
still trying to adjust that video so everybody can watch it, because at one point it just got loud.
Yeah, it was loud. It was a loud sound.
And this is nice. This is nice and calm. But Craig is food blogger, food writer.
Yeah,
blogger.
yeah, a food writer. I mean, I do the food tour locally, so.
And the food writer, locally, the
Right.
Florida Keys food tours.
Florida Keys food tour, that's
which
right.
is awesome, which
Right.
a lot of the restaurants down here are part of. And he also does online wine tastings for stayadventurous.com. And I've been a guest on there, which was fun for me, which has been nice. But yeah.
I actually did one of these wines in my last one, where I returned to Spain. Had such a fun time, and we did a trip to Spain, and we came back, and I made sure I put this one as the first wine. Usually do like a bubbly or cava or something. I said, we're gonna do this because no one knows this wine, or it's kind of unique, and I could show beautiful photos of the region and explain how. This wine a little bit different with the great foods, and it was a nice little hit. It was a little different, and nobody ever heard of it, right? I mean, it's not a very popular wine in a lot of wine circles, but have the opportunity to go to Spain, you'll know if you go to the Basque region, this is what you get: a glass of white wine. This is what they're pouring. Next thing you know, they're pouring it from up top, and that's
Well, they do. And they
Is
do a
it to
rosé.
aerate it though? Is it the thing that aerate to bring the
It does.
oxygen in?
In fact, I have some notes that I printed up on
I'm not a
because-
sommelier, but I know a little bit about wine.
So yes, so according, if you want to read through that,
Absolutely.
it's just something that's kind of fun with it. It does aerate the wine, but it also adds that little, it lets the effervescence really.
I gotta say that word 3 times fast.
explode in the
Effervescence.
glass.
Yeah.
So it brings out the aromatics of the wine. And when I was doing some recent studies on this wine, they said it almost had a briny characteristic to it, which I don't really like that term, but when I started thinking about it, when you think about what brining is, what it's salt, sugar, herbs, sometimes garlic, stuff like that. So it definitely has that. And I did try a bottle of this a month or so ago, and we'll try this one and see what it's like. But it was just very fascinating because it does have that little bit when your region is close to the sea, you get these notes of the sea air, and it's the same thing in scotches when you get those, the Campbelltons and the Islay scotches or single malt scotches are the same way. So, but we're gonna have some fun
it gets a
tasting
great
that.
breeze over there too. It's like today, today's breeze here in the Keys. It was a very
the breeze is
the
cool.
breeze
The
over
sun
there
is
was
brutal.
constant,
nice.
In the shade,
it's
it's not
definitely
so
nice.
bad.
And it also reminds me of briny. Kind of feels like something that you might brine might even be something good to eat with it.
And that was something I started thinking about. I'm
Yeah.
like, but we'll do that for another time. But this one we have Justina here with
there.
Island Queen Charcuterie Art.
Oh, look at you!
I got it. I got it down.
Is it
And
art? Nice.
and
It is
if
art.
you get a
Look at
chance to go onto her Facebook page, because I checked out all her stuff, and I went onto her Facebook page. She's got some really cool charcuterie art in there that she's done for people, which is fantastic. I think it's a lot of fun and neat. And then, of course, today she brought us. Should we? Craig,
Can we
we need to lift this thing
A
up.
little peek.
So we need to put this up.
Wow,
So
look at
this
that.
is what we're going to be working on here in a few minutes. And
Come on down. We're gonna need help.
Maybe
Just
not.
a few
Exactly.
people, though. Not too many, right?
we don't with the traffic right now. You'll never
Yeah,
make it
you'll
in
never-
time. We'll be done with
Yeah,
this thing.
I just made.
Yeah, it's nice to have, I mean, you can put food out, but when it's artistic, it just makes it fun.
It did, and you had some really cool stuff on there. So definitely check her out on Facebook. Write that down. Island Queen Charcuterie Art. So,
The queen.
so we're having some fun.
It's a very fitting name, Queen.
All
I
right,
like it.
so let's get to the business. here.
Yeah.
So we started talking about this, and I waited till last minute to pop the cork because we want to keep the effervescence in there.
Right, yeah. I could see it. I could see it heading up
Yep, and
inside
it's-
the bottle.
So, are you going to do the pour for us?
Well,
with
I
the,
think
it's
you
very hard.
should.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do first.
It's wide enough, though.
Here's what I'd like. I know I got the big glasses here. What I'd like to do first is have us taste it each before we give it the big splash, and see what we think of it as it comes out of the bottle
Okay.
without splashing it around.
Okay.
And then we'll pour it from a height. Not like they did in the video, but as close as we
I
can.
think that's a great idea.
And you see, it's already got a little bit
Oh,
of
tons of bubbles.
bubbles to
And
it.
smell it. Wow, just that little bit.
Yeah. So we'll do a little. We'll do a little
This is a fun.
taste.
This is a fun tasting.
This is
It's a fun.
very fun.
It's nice.
All right.
You don't even have to shake it around. It's already
No, you
bubbling.
don't. It's already opening up. And you see when they talk about the brininess of it, because it is get that sea air to it. It's like we're sitting here next to the sea.
Yeah,
We are.
that's a good place to have it, right?
Yeah, and actually, and that's one of the reasons why Kathy from Konakai was gracious enough to let us steal one of her tiki huts from their guests to be able to do this
Great
today.
location. Great one. Okay.
So it's got some, and you know, everything I read about it.
I always have to get that one first little cough. It's like
Is that the cough
I don't-
before the drink? Or
no,
the,
yeah, it's like
Is it
I got it.
clearing-
I just keep
clearing the
inhaling,
palate?
smelling so much.
Okay.
But everything they say is usually like green apple, citrus. But in this, I get like apricots and a little bit of like a
Summer
tart
fruits?
peach, like tree fruits in it.
I just
that-
want this in aromatherapy in my house.
It would be
I like
strong
that.
too. It'd be strong. Though. It'd be
So we'll swirl there, but it's got
Wow. Very nice.
but it's light and crisp. And we talked about
oh, the end's nice too. Really, just
Yeah, it does.
closes. You know, like it doesn't linger. It's just like, ooh, that was it.
there you go. But it does have some nice fruit
Now
characteristics,
it
like
takes
the,
a little taste now.
you just getting that fruit at the end. And
It's like a
this is actually, this one has a little more alcohol than a lot of them. This is a 12%, which a lot of them are with like Vino Verdes, and some of these Txakolinas.
Yeah.
And then we have pronounced that. If you see the name,
Yeah.
it's spelled Txakolina, and it looks like you don't even know how to try
Yeah.
to pronounce it, but it's Txakolina.
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 That's
I-
so
I-
good.
it
Txakolina
very-
is the
it's-
reason.
Yeah, it almost sounds like chocolate to me. Like that's how I remember
Oh,
it. Like chocolate, Txakolina, you know, like
Txakolina.
kind of way. Because it's done in their Basque language, which is impossible to read when you're over there. Like when you see signs, and it's just like the way they talk, and it's
Like
just like
being in
it's
China?
a very hard. No, China's.
That's worse.
Yeah. all right. But it's just very hard because you know Spanish a little bit, right? Even if you don't, you hear, you'll see signs, you'll be able to understand things.
Figure it out.
But with that, no, it looks hard sounding, but then they pronounce it, and you're like, it looks nothing like what you just said. That's the Basque way.
So, but it's a nice drinking, easy drinking, and like with wines like this, Vino Verde is the same way for me. This is what I call on the boat wine.
On the boat?
On the boat, because I like to drink wine when I don't like to drink
On the
beer.
boat.
You know, and I generally prefer red wines. You drink red wine out in the sun,
No.
Irish, bad news. You know, I'm sleeping halfway through the trip. Doesn't work very well. But wines like this, they're lower in alcohol. They've got a little effervescence. So it's not like drinking champagne or a prosecco or something like cava on the trip.
Yeah, much
but
less
it's drinking
bubbles.
something with a little spritz to it.
Yeah.
That's refreshing.
Right.
And the alcohol level's lower, so you're getting the nice flavors to it. And this one, like I said, we're gonna pour it a little deeper,
right.
so that we get the bubbles,
experience,
the
yeah.
experience, like in the
I
video.
think the table's going to get some of that too.
Yeah, so
That'll
we'll
be
see how.
cool.
Let's see that label on that. Show the audience as well.
Problem is, I think
Wow.
it's going to be in reverse. So
Okay.
pronounce that for them.
Oh, if it's
Ernie?
Spanish,
It's Spanish.
It's Ernio.
Ernio.
Yeah.
Ernio.
H is silent.
Yeah.
And this here is the region, and then I guess that means that it's
Yeah, check it
organic.
Natural. Probably natural. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
natural.
So this is one
Who
of
knows? Like
one of my distributors. I had to hunt this one out from my distributors to find
well,
it.
yeah, and this will tell you it's like something like that. It's official. I don't know. There's a few regions that have it. I mean, it's a very.
All right, you think?
Okay.
Watch out.
You got a good aim?
It's pretty good. I mean, we do have a big glass.
Exactly.
See how
look
it
at the
foams up?
bubbly.
Look at that. That looks
Ah.
fun.
That was an excellent job. I'm impressed.
Let's see here. Let's see. We've got the 2
Like
for 3.
go higher.
Higher, 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 higher. He makes it bubbly.
Oh,
Wow.
oh, there it goes.
You, yeah.
They're gonna love me on the drive home.
Let's get this one.
There you go.
All right, so we did pretty well except for Craig's glass.
Right.
Yes.
So,
his-
so let's see how this actually
Absolutely.
changed it.
I don't have as much smell. Maybe that's because it's all wet.
I think it makes it lighter.
It does make it seem lighter, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely is less aroma, like or hint. Well, that's all right. It's not that much, folks. I've spilled worse on a regular easy pour.
It sure does change up the taste.
Yeah, that's kind of neat
Yeah,
how that
difference.
does that. So
Really
something
neat.
fun. If you did buy a bottle, I always post a couple days in advance
Right.
what we're going to be drinking, and I invite everybody to buy a bottle. If you can find it at your
That's a
local
hard
store,
one to find, I mean.
this one is a hard one to find. And there's a few places down here that might possibly have it, but
I know wine.com had a copy one. 'Cause that's where I got it for my tasting. I was like, oh my god, they have a couple. Very limited selection.
I like that. I like that kind of.
So you don't know. You're just like, oh, I'll try it. It's more about trying the style than the actual brand name.
And the reason I do that is because we want to talk about what the style is. And I try to bring in examples of very typical grapes. So I'm not going to bring in a Pinot Noir that's totally crazy, medium bodied with all sorts of weird flavors to it. I want to bring in something that's very typical for the grape. And the same thing with this. I found one that I only found one of 4 that I could find,
Right.
and this one seemed to be the one that was going to be the best typical example of what the wine is, because this is an educational thing. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have some fun, but I do pairing it with food. So what we're going to do is we're going to taste it, and like we were talking about earlier, you taste the wine, and then when you try it with food, all of a sudden it changes, and that's what we really wanted everybody to
Right.
experience and everybody to understand. I mean, part of the reason I'm doing this, this whole Grape Guy Consulting, is we have an online class it's a course that
Right.
takes about an hour or so, and it's to give you the foundation of beer and wine to help you enjoy it better. You know, just to understand it so that you can try it and find things that you like, and kind of be a show off. Some people take it because they want to show off to their friends a little bit
Right.
because they know more than them now. But that's really what it's all about. It's about the experience and enjoying the experience. So that's what, that's the Grape Guy Consulting. AGGC.info if you guys want to check it out online.
Say that slower.
AGGC, a Grape Guy Consulting.
Okay.
.info.
There you go.
So you can go check that out, and there's an online course there that you can sign up for. It's just something that will help you, understand things a little bit better. I have had people who've been drinking wine for 30 years, and they took the course and they went, "Oh my gosh, that's cool." In fact, my last guest, Millie Martinez,
Of course.
is taking the course right now
Oh, okay.
because she likes wine, but she told me, she goes, "I don't really know a lot about it." So she's taking it. We tasted last week,
Oh, that's
and then in a
great.
couple of weeks she's going to come back and we're going to taste again. I'm going to see
See how much.
what she thinks
Well, it's
about
so
it.
neat when you go out to dinner and the guests know what they're talking about with wine to the server, and then the server's like, "Oh, and I love that. I love that.
And that's what it's all about, it really. And you've been in the business. I mean, you guys obviously,
Right.
But a lot of people haven't been and haven't been exposed to that. When the server pulls out the cork and puts it in front of you, do you sniff it? Probably not, because it's going to smell like a cork. But you want to check things on the cork, and this is the one thing that I always teach in it. You want to squeeze the cork. Was the cork pliable or is it crumbly? If it's crumbly, it might be oxidized because it may have got oxygen in it because it shrunk. Is it too wet? Something may have been stored improperly. Is there streaks on it? If it's a red wine cork,
I'm learning something right now.
yeah, if it's a red wine cork and there's big streaks all the way to the top, that means it's probably been exposed to heat or cold, extreme temperatures that will
like in
matterize
shipping
it.
and stuff,
Yeah, well, what happens in the restaurant business is, they forget to put a case on the truck of my wine. I call up the rep, the driver shows up, and I don't have my wine for the weekend for a party who wants it. And I call the rep up and I say, I don't have my wine. I got a customer who's ordered it. And they say, okay, no problem. I'm up there in the warehouse. I'll get it. I have a meeting over there. I'll get it. I'll bring it down to you personally. Okay, great. Well, what do? They go to the warehouse. They pick it up. They put it in the trunk of their car.
Oh, gosh.
And then they drive down from Miami
So now it's
for
been
3.5 hours. They stop and drop all the other mistakes off. And then they get to me 7 hours later with a. Well, I'm grateful at first, and then I have wine
So
that's
that's a
been
sign.
cooked.
That's a
It's
sign.
been cooked. So the streaks mean it forms a pressure inside the bottle, and the wine is trying to escape, and it basically streaks the cork.
Does it change the wine flavor, though?
Yes,
Oh,
it
for
makes
sure.
it sound. You know what port wine is, but
Yes,
you know
I
what a
do.
Madeira is?
No.
Okay, so Madeira is like port, except
Dessert wine.
they say it's a dessert wine. Yes, it's fortified, which
Yeah.
means they put alcohol into it to arrest the fermentation and to leave the rest of the sugars in there, so it's sweeter.
Sweet, yes.
And back to a quick history lesson here. Port was designed. They were making it, and when they were exploring the new worlds, they were putting wine on the ships for the sailors.
That's a port.
So, well, no, but
No?
they were putting
Even
them
just
on the ship.
Portugal to England,
Right.
right? I mean,
Well,
that's where it
they were
started,
putting
in
them in there,
900, in
and they were
900.
going on 3-4 month trips. But when you put regular wine on a hot ship, sloshing around, about 2 months later, the wine turns bad. That means the sailors are getting bad wine that tastes like vinegar, tastes like. And what happens when you have bad wine and unhappy sailers? Mutiny.
Mutiny.
You have
Maybe.
mutiny.
You got bad wine, it's mutiny at a restaurant. It's mutiny in my house. I mean, it's mutiny anywhere when you have a bad bottle. Come on.
So that's what was happening, and what they figured out was if they pour brandy, which is made from grapes, into the wine and arrest the fermentation, they leave the sugar in there. It increases the alcohol level, but it also preserves the wine much longer. Now, Madeira,
Almost forever, right? I mean, port never goes bad.
port will really never go bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, in our lifetime, probably.
my joke.
I've seen it in
my
bars
joke,
for years.
Yeah, my joke with my staff was that I used to tell them we could open up a bottle now and then have a reunion 50 years from now with the rest of that bottle, and it would taste the same because it pretty much is preserving itself. Madeira does the same thing as port, except they cook it. They actually heat the wine mildly to somewhere between 100 and 120 degrees, so that preserves it even more. Like Madeiras are the total indestructible. They're like the Superman of port wine.
They got a great bottle,
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
Madeira.
Don't they have that little circular bottle?
They got some of them.
The
They got
one
a nice
brand.
So that's what Madeira is. So, but it has that kind of raisiny, pruny essence that you get out of ports, and so when a wine gets cooked in the bottle, it gets this matterized essence to it, which is something you don't want. So when you see a streaky cork, that could be a problem with the wine. It's not always, but sometimes. But
It's
that's
a
why you
sign.
look at the cork.
It's a
You look at the
sign.
cork, you squeeze it, you don't sniff it. It smells like cork.
How about
Yeah.
these new corks they came out with, these synthetic corks? Is there a reason for that? Does it preserve the wine better? Because
It's
it
supposed to
doesn't?
preserve the wine better because they don't shrink or dissolve or disintegrate.
Yeah.
So that could
I
be
think
a
it doesn't
positive
let
thing.
any oxygen through.
It doesn't let
right?
any oxygen. The best thing.
But you want cork because you want a slow oxidation of the wine, like a really slow,
So you really do want a little bit of a
tiny bit, yeah.
teeny bit.
So like
bit.
certain wines
Yes.
over time, you age them, and then that's when.
And that's what everybody talks about.
okay.
But you look at like screw caps. which
Oh, that's
are
such
really,
a drag. Serve a bottle of wine like that. That's so hard to do. And I've been
and when
a
you
server.
put the screw cap down in front of them, and you just kind of do
It's so
do the old
embarrassing.
hello, here's your screw cap. But realistically, and it's called the Stelvin enclosure. So remember that
Okay.
Stelvin enclosure. It's not screw cap.
Stelvin started this?
Stelvin, Mr. Stelvin, who
Mr.
created
Stelvin.
it. I think it was a man, and he created it, and it actually preserves wines better. Almost
the screw
the
caps?
screw cap gives
Okay.
almost a 99%. Like when you look at failure rates of corks, failure rates on corks are like 5 to 8%.
I've opened some up and they just fall
Yeah.
apart.
So and that's what you don't want. So
Oh, no,
so
it's
that's
horrible.
part of the
Get the strainer out. No, throw it out.
yeah, right, exactly.
That
Yeah,
definitely depends.
The-
you could strain some of
the
it.
coffee,
Sometimes
the
you
coffee
can.
filter.
Taste it.
I've
In a
had
restaurant, there, you're not going to want.
No,
Right,
no,
yeah.
no.
If it's
Serving
if
in a
it's at your
restaurant.
house and you paid $900 for the bottle, you're gonna put it through a coffee filter and get that cork out of there.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
all right. So
We digress. I mean,
we're gonna
So
go
that's just a hint of what you're going to learn during this course.
exactly. That's what's
I
all
love
about. It's
that.
about having fun and learning.
I love the regional aspects or the location aspects. Like traveling to this place in Spain right now for me where this wine was made is great because yeah, I've been there, but even if I haven't, like you just know the destination, the people. Like,
The
just like
passion.
it's a fun part of that
Yeah.
element of it, and you're like, oh, I love this region in the world because I've been there, and so it's just kind of like, yeah, I'm drinking that wine. So that's always great. So I always love that bit of the education, and I do a lot of that on my tastings too to understand that. But it's always great, and this is such a unique one, with the
It is such a fun
effervescence
one.
and yeah.
and it
it's a
does
great-
have.
it's a
It's
great
almost
starter.
a little cloudy.
Yeah. I
You know,
did
which is
notice
neat.
that.
Which
Yeah.
means probably unfiltered. Which I'm guessing when it says natural,
Yeah, I mean that's the natural.
which means unfiltered. Which a lot of times they filter wines just to make them nice and clear, but it takes out some of the characteristic of the
Right.
wine when you filter it. So you really want something that is not filtered.
Wow, I like this.
So now I'm
one.
thinking about a taste. I mean, where are we going on this?
All right, so I'm
Clean.
trying to think of where we're going to start on this.
Oh my.
I definitely want to, because each thing is going to be a little bit different here. And we've got, and you're going to have to guide us through here. I'm going to point at something, and we'll start with the
In case anybody wants a little
little
side
something
taste, yes.
on the side there.
These are pickled peppers that I pickled myself, and these are sweet pickles. And we have,
And Island Queen
Island-
Charcuterie Art
yes.
also does things like you make your own oregano oil.
Yes, I do
which
make
is
my
really
own
cool.
oregano oil. Yes, oregano from the garden. This was marinating in a dark room for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And I do that with rosemary oil as well, and that's something that we put in our hair to help our hair grow. I've actually given some people that.
You've got a lot of hair. So
Yeah, so I do I do
Proof
the
right there.
rosemary. and
No,
stuff.
maybe
Stuff
maybe
works.
we
Yeah.
should start.
Maybe right here. I should
You,
put a little, right?
you can actually buy the oregano
I'm sorry,
oil.
I'm sorry.
It's very easy to buy, but it flourishes here, like you said.
Yeah.
Oregano,
So I take a scissors. I do a lot of things with scissors.
Sure.
Is you can cut them very, very fine, and you want to get the oils from the oregano. So if you take the scissor and you cut it real fine into little strips and put it in olive oil in a glass jar and make sure it's sealed very, very tight. Put a lot of oregano on it so it's really, really tight. And then label it, date it, put it in your pantry or wherever your cool area is. And yeah, it's fun to create things like that.
I've got a big jug of olive oil, and I've got about 12 jars. I've got some Tabasco peppers
Oh,
that I
there you
grew
go.
on my property.
Okay.
And my oregano that I told you about.
Yeah.
The Cuban one?
The
I
Cuban
think that's
oregano.
what this is. Yeah. Yeah. When you
Cuban
said it was a
So-
flat
Huge.
leaf.
It's a
Yeah.
huge-
Yeah,
So-
and it grows like crazy down here. And I've been like meaning to do something with it. I'm
Yeah,
like,
oregano oil.
And I like you were saying, I cut mine up with scissors too because you can cut them thin and it breaks out and it gives them
Brings
the
out
oils.
the oil.
Definitely,
Right.
which is
Right.
awesome.
And so we do have a couple
great- it's like an
flavors here
antibiotic.
of oil too.
Oregano is very healthy.
So this is
Anti-inflammatory.
this is the pepper oil with seasoning in it that we can add on our.
Everyone has one of those on their like kitchen counter when you visit people on Long Island, especially or
Yeah.
around. But I'm like, does anyone use that stuff?
And then your this is
Good to see
the
it's being-
black truffle. And if anybody knows
black
truffle,
yes.
yes, balsamic vinegar, and then I have the standard balsamic glaze as well. That if anybody wants a little extra on their palate, we can
All
add
right.
that.
So how I'd like to start
Okay.
is I want to have Justina tell us, pick one of the items, and we'll each try one of those, and we'll take. And what I want you guys to do is take a sip of the wine, eat a bite of it, and then take another sip of the wine and see how the wine changes. First see how the wine melds with it initially, and then when you take the second sip of wine, you'll see how the wine has changed because of the food.
The wine has changed. Now, are we supposed to clean the palate after every
Actually, I
taste?
do have some water. We can do that, but mostly this wine is pretty acidic, so it's going to cleanse your palate naturally.
Okay.
So I don't think we really need to do that. But I would like you to kind of pick out what you think, because I'd like to kind of move through this and pick one item that you think is probably the
I'm getting
mildest.
hungry
I
here.
know.
Let's
The
pick it,
mildest?
pick it.
The mildest, and then
Okay.
we'll go to the wildest. So
Okay.
mild to
Oh,
wild.
all right, yeah.
Mild to wild.
Wow, that's a great way to
Okay,
go.
so
Oh, you're gonna
Here we-
serve us?
yes, here.
I didn't know I was like the king
There
with
you
the queen
go.
here.
There
Yeah,
you go.
there you
Island
go.
Queen.
This
Very
is a Genoa salami,
That's good.
and
What-
it's
what's it?
stuffed with smoked Gouda,
Okay.
which is a favorite for many people. So let's
So take your sip first.
take the sip first.
Smoked Gouda. Interesting. Just spread it all over. Alright, I got two.
Okay, then.
And then when you go back to the wine, because of all the flavors with the smokiness and everything else, this wine gets very tame after.
Yeah, I mean it's relaxing.
And that's the fun part about wine and food is that it changes the
Almost
wine.
tastes like a Chardonnay now.
Doesn't it? I mean,
A
you
little
lose
bit.
the acidity. The acidity kind of the fat and the
Right.
smoke on the food kind of gets knocked out by the acidity of the wine, and then you just get the fruit flavors of the wine coming through. So it seems more like a Chardonnay. Seems more, so very.
Isn't that
That's fine.
something?
All right.
So I'm
Although
gonna,
lighter still. It's not. It didn't get the heaviness of the Chardonnay, the buttery.
Right, but you just get the
Yeah.
rich, the
Yeah.
roundness of it.
we'll share some.
Oh.
This is the cheese is called blueberry fraise.
Ah,
Okay.
And I know you were talking about not pairing wine with fruit, but you said as far as this cheese, it would be okay because we did speak about this earlier.
Yep.
So you want to explain why that is?
Yeah, so a lot of times when people put together a fruit and cheese platter with a wine tasting, and what happens with fresh fruit is that fresh fruit diminishes the characteristics of a wine just because you've got more sugar, acidity. You know, it's just your fruit really beats up a wine. And I learned at a tasting years ago. I was doing a customer asked me for a fruit and cheese platter, and I put together a beautiful one. And then we started tasting this wine, and they were like, "This wine's not very good."
Oh, they blamed it on the
and
wine.
This wine was fabulous.
Yeah.
And they
And I
blamed
was
it
like,
on the wine.
and I tasted it, and I was like, "Oh, there's a problem." You know, the problem is.
Wow. See, that was a great education for me now. And I
You
know.
know, I'm the only. I take big sips apparently.
That's okay.
Well, some of mine was on the table. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I spilled half of yours down down onto the ground.
Actually, my last sip was so light. Like I don't know if it was the last sip in the bottle, but after this cheese, like it was almost like I can use a sip, but like it was very light, like just a. I don't
You got a
want to
lot
say
of fat in the
flavorless, like
cheese,
almost
so-
water, or just like a little bit of just getting extra liquid through, you know.
That'll-
That's good.
artichoke here.
Oh,
And
so now when you're doing the cheese with the wine,
Yeah.
it's a whole different ball game. So you're getting the tartness of the wine. The wine that just seemed like a Chardonnay a minute ago seems like a Sauvignon Blanc now, because it's just changed so much.
So this is a pepper Genoa with the mozzarella balls are marinated.
Let me tell you a little something about the region. So when you go to the Basque Country, they say it's pinstos. So it's a pinchar or pinstos. So instead of tapas. So in Spanish, to tapar is to cover something. So a lot of times the little plates will be covered and stuff, and that's more in the south of Spain. But when you're up in the Basque region, the pinstos is for a toothpick to pinch. So you poke and pinstos. So what they did years ago, that's why they're called pinstos, because you would poke into it with the meat, and then at the very end, you'd almost have to pay by how many toothpicks or how many things you would have. And that's how
Wow!
so that's why they're called pinstos.
And they,
So
they
even when you go there
Americanized
today,
it
if
and
you
call
look
them
in-
toothpicks now.
Yeah, even when you go there today, it's like, well, everything is, it's not paid by the toothpick, but they'll have them in there. And those are like the real traditional pinstos, which are always served, you know, when you get your glass of white wine, you get this, your pinstos. And that's how
So I'm gonna
Pinchar.
dive into this one next to see.
Yeah.
Because this is
Well,
probably
this
gonna
is
mess.
definitely
This
has
is probably gonna mess the wine up.
I don't know
because
how-
well the pepper on this one because you had mentioned
Well, this
you
is,
did mention pepper with when you were talking about wines, you know, and I was like, oh, let's do something with a little bit of pepper, and so that's where that
Totally
idea
white.
came.
It's a, I know this, not okra, but it's
Artichoke.
Artichoke heart.
God, I can't, artichoke. I don't have so many artichokes.
I can live on artichokes.
This is a good one.
The artichokes that I used are actually, you'll see there's a little dark edge.
Yes.
They're not
Charred,
smoked,
smoked,
charred is the right
Yeah,
word.
charred artichokes.
They definitely are.
They're
and
charred.
and that's got a nice flavor to it. And
Yeah.
the char comes through when you take the
Right.
sip of the wine. You really notice the char much more, which was kind of fun.
And it's been resting in what, oil or vinegar? Like it's a vinegar or I mean it's something.
That marinated in olive oil. Yep, olive oil with the seasoning. There's definitely Italian seasoning in this one.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty good. Actually, it was way better than I thought.
And I'm doing the olives next. You see, following the veggie.
I didn't
Right.
get any olives for myself.
This is a Calmetta.
Calamas are awesome. My favorite.
I mean,
Okay.
And this is like a marriage. It's when you eat the Kalamata and the other olive and try the wine, it's just balanced. It's one of those complementary things where the wine doesn't go, you don't get this big bold flavor, you don't get sharp acid to it, you get just this nice balance of
Balance.
flavors.
complimentary.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm learning so much.
Especially the
Big
Calmetta.
fun.
I mean, it's probably because I like the Calmetta olive.
I
Like,
know.
I'm just addicted to them.
All right, so I'm going in.
Going in for the
And this
peppers.
again, can you tell me what this was?
That is the Genoa salami, but it's got it's peppered, peppered
It's got a
salami,
little spice to it.
and the cheese inside is agazio. Am I saying that wrong?
So it's kind of like a
Asiago?
manchego?
Asiago.
Asiago?
That's what the cheese is. One of my favorites. Actually, my number one favorite cheese, which I can't find down here, is called Fontanella. Very
Okay.
similar to this, but a little bit more sharp. And there's not too many Italian.
So it works pretty well with the pepper. It really doesn't. You know, sometimes pepper can really screw a wine up. You know,
Right.
it could be like, you'd be like, whoa, what's happening here?
Like I feel the pepper now
Yeah.
so much more than I did when the wine was in my mouth.
Really?
It's almost like, oh,
Now I'm going for the marinated.
Oh my God, you're
What's
right.
wrong?
It does intensify it, doesn't it?
is that mozza?
Mozzarella, yeah, this is marinated mozzarella with
That's good.
with Italian seasoning and the flat what's the season
The basil?
not the cilantro.
Cilantro. Oh, cilantro. Nice.
Cilantro.
You know what I got down here is I got a culantro plant.
Culantro. How cool is that?
Culantro they taste almost identical, except they have like they're sharp on the edges. They're spiky. And mine just I guess it molted. It went to
It
seed.
molted?
It went to seed.
Interesting.
So and the seed with cilantro is
Coriander.
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 So I'm taking all these and making my own little coriander thing. So I
Right.
don't know. The whole thing just blew up one day. It was sitting there doing nothing, and then all of a sudden it started sprouting, getting small
Right.
leaves off of it with a seed in the middle of it, and it's really kind of cool. But I'm just kind of surprised. I was like, I don't know what's going on with this.
Cilantro is tough, I think, to grow here.
The culantro is.
Culantro
my-
is
my-
not, it's more tropical. right?
Culantro.
Culantro.
Yeah.
I have to check
Cilantro
that
is
one
like-
out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But it's got sharper, like you
Right.
reach in there, it's like,
Take a
thank you.
piece of bread here. 'Cause
All
I
right,
don't know
we've got
about
a
your
couple more-
palate, but my palate is peppery right now.
Yeah.
But with the
Exactly.
bread, you can add oil
Okay.
if you'd
All right,
like,
if you'd like.
or if you'd like the olive oil or the oregano
Oh, try the
oil.
oregano. I'm gonna need to get one of these. This would be fun. Oh wow. But, that's not how I saw it coming out, but I drop off.
Yeah,
like
because
that.
it's sharp.
Concentrate.
And then I'm gonna try the balsamic truffle glaze as well.
Oh, it's really boom. Oregano. Oh my God.
Yeah, this is really strong too. If you want to give that a try, it's got a
The
lot
oregano
of.
is very
6
strong.
months you aged that for 6 months. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, that is good.
Let me try that. That truffle is good. My son gave me that for Christmas. He knows what Mama likes. He got me all these different little flavors.
Truffle's dangerous.
That's nice.
So let's move on to
I'm gonna say, what's our next
yeah.
truffles?
Since we're into a little bit of spice here,
Oh right.
this is coppola. It's a spiced
Can
ham.
get a little water in between for me. This is my water. I didn't drink out of it. If anyone wants.
There's a couple bottles in that cooler right there.
Does everyone want one?
I will take one.
Actually, I have that water bottle right there. If
Sure.
you don't mind just handing me that.
Yeah. All right.
You guys are
Perfect.
prepared. I like it.
You almost have to have water.
Especially in the Florida Keys, we dehydrate here. We get very dehydrated, and people
But even
don't
just
realize.
for the traffic.
So the coppola ham has a little hint of spice in it. Since we had the pepper, I figured we'd keep with the spice right now before we calm the palate back down.
Greg's running low. I'm gonna get the other. I brought the backup bottle today. Thank goodness.
I'm drinking too much too fast.
I'm thinking this might be my new favorite wine because you know I love champagne and I love Sauvignon Blanc, and this is a good balance between the two.
Two, yeah. It's a fun wine.
Wow.
See, that's what we're doing here. We're trying to
Yeah.
show people some fun stuff that's out there. You don't have to get the same, 4 white wines and 6 red wines that are on
That most
the
people-
majority of wine lists everywhere. There's so many fun things out there, and that's why I love working with. I work with a few different restaurants like C&C. I work with those guys, and those guys try to expand and have a nice selection of different stuff to kind of turn people onto.
So
And
you
they've got-
help them choose their wines for.
I don't. They actually choose their own wines, but I work with their staff as far as being able to describe it, like we're doing right here.
Okay.
They used
So
to
the-
be wine.
It was
Wine
C&C,
shop,
yeah. What's get you topped off here.
When we first did the food tour in Key Largo, we would stop in there for wines and stuff. But now they only open in the evenings.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I don't. Oh, well,
Yours is
I don't use it like the
Don't
mix.
twist
but I'm
his
gonna do it.
arm.
I'm
you're
gonna
gonna
do it.
mix. These bottles shouldn't be too
good.
far apart. All right, so we got some. All right, that
Yeah, we'll go with that Coppola ham, which, you know what, I really like this, because ham is not one of my favorite meats, and this one is like changing it up for me, because I like that hint of spice. If I do get ham, it's usually the honey ham, you know, something
Sure.
to give it a boost, but this is a nice change.
now in Spain, ham is a pretty popular pork.
Sure.
You know, it's
Really?
a big
Why is that?
part of the industry.
No. You
Do
always
they
get the
run
slices
are
of
they all like wild and
ham
they're
in
running around?
Serrano or
Yeah.
Iberico, or they have some little wild pigs that just eat one black egg corn, and that's all they eat, and then that's like the prized possession.
Oh, because
Where
what
they
they
slice
eat,
it
they
and cure the
become.
meat.
That makes so much
There
sense.
definitely
Yeah.
flavors the meat. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
flavors
eating. It's like eating
Okay.
grass-fed beef compared to beef that's fed corn.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
grass-fed beef tastes bland. I mean, I have a burger restaurant.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we want, stuff that's corn-fed and giving it more flavor. Grass-fed is supposedly healthier for the animal, the cow. But when it comes down to the flavor of it, of the meat,
Yeah.
it definitely comes through on it, and it is more herbaceous, less flavorful. When
The
you
grass-fed
the
is.
grass-fed is definitely.
Oh, that.
And I mean, if you're
That's
looking
two
for
things I learned
if you're
today.
looking for an award-winning,
Burger.
burger, you want the cows to be eating some flavorful stuff,
Right.
And grass is grass. I mean, what would you prefer? Corn
I
on the cob
love
or
corn. I'm from
eating grass?
Michigan. I love Michigan corn. I live on that. I eat it raw. It's grown everywhere.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for sure.
Oh,
That's the
man.
interesting thing. I mean,
All right, what's our next?
Okay,
We got
we're gonna
two
move.
more here.
We're gonna move.
You'll,
we're gonna do-
you'll find that ham in all the pink stuffs. Like there's so many when you go in, and you look, and it's like almost shopping in like over this glass area, like a deli counter, and they're all trays of everything, and you just point to which ones you want, and then with that you get that. And a lot of them will have this ham, the slices of ham.
So this is a little bit more of a less palatable.
These are rosemary. These are huge.
Mm-hmm, rosemary. The rosemary, yeah, compliments of
almost like a
Patrice
pea
Messina. Yeah, she grows that, and she allows me to.
We love Patrice.
Oh, really? This is from
Yes,
Patrice.
that's Patrice's
Oh my
plant.
God,
yes.
everybody, everyone's involved in this.
Yes, and the
Starting to feel like a local after 10 years.
yeah. So I'm trying to grow as much of my herbs as I can in the garden, but I was having a problem with rosemary, and you gave me a really good plug on that and how to grow rosemary in a hot climate, and so I'm going to revisit that. But so this
and
is
mosquitoes
a
hate it.
and
I feel it.
mosquitoes hate it. Hate it. And
bonus right
Patrice's
there.
plant is like as big as this table. So this is a typical standard caprese, but we do have the balsamic vinegar, which I like. But you could try
I'm
the
going to try it
truffle.
first like it
Try it
is,
just
and then I'm
plain.
going to put a little something on it to sweeten it up
Okay,
in
and
a
you're
second.
supposed to taste the wine.
Mhm.
Now, three things that I learned today. The third thing is the fact that he said, that Thomas said, we don't have to clean our palate with this particular wine in between each tasting, because the wine is set up in a way that it
Acidic.
cleans
Mm-hmm.
your palate for
The
you.
acid, it's an acid wash to your mouth.
Acid
Really good.
wash.
Yeah, it is.
in a
And
sense.
this
I mean, the
one.
one thing that we used to, sometimes like the bread,
Water's good too.
water and bread are good to a point. I was at a winery in Napa Valley, and they gave us pistachios to cleanse our palate, which was really unique and interesting,
Really?
which I thought was awesome, and it was great because I was like, well, this is fancy pistachios, and they're like, oh, that's to cleanse your palate.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, well, this is really fancy. That
Wow.
I'm like,
Well, it is
bread.
Napa. You're not
Did
gonna-
you know that pistachios, they take, I have to look it up online, but it's something like 10 to 15 years to establish pistachios.
Oh, in a tree.
They take a long time
Well, I'll
to,
tell you though,
for it to mature and grow and get the flavor. Yeah.
like with nuts though, other nuts. I think I learned from you, like to use cashew nuts, like cashew nuts,
Cashew
or
nuts
someone.
are- yeah.
I assume
Well,
it was
cashew
you,
nuts
because
are
I remember
great
doing
Are cashews
some of those early
actually
wine
in it?
tastings with the what do they call it, sip in place.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
Well, what was nice about cashews, if you don't get them, obviously you don't want them roasted. You want them more raw because they're very neutral in flavor, and the fat in them absorbs the acid from the wine, so it cleanses your
Perfect.
palate.
Yeah, they are
So it's
fatty.
another fun thing.
Don't get them That's 4 things I learned. We're gonna go up to 8 by the week for
See?
8.
And that's what it's all
series.
about. We're here to learn some
Right.
stuff.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, because usually I buy them and they're roasted.
Let me try. What did you put on this? You put the.
I
balsamic?
like the standard glaze on it.
Okay.
Yeah, but the truffle is really good.
Well, I'll save your truffle.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Present.
I'm going to take a shot of that.
Yeah, I'll take a shot.
And I do grow the bay leaves in my garden. Those are easier to grow, and
The
those
basil?
are easy to root too. I don't have a problem with rooting those.
They grow well until the iguanas come over and visit me, and then they eat that. One of them just ate my new one.
That's why I
cleaned
have
it out.
2 cats. The cats save my garden. I was told that a long time ago here in the Florida Keys to get cats, and I'm a dog person.
Right.
But cats keep the critters away, and they keep the iguanas out of my pool.
That's cool because my neighbor's cat comes over to my one little garden area, and I was wondering why they, you know, I had one of them there today, one iguana today.
Keep the critters away. My cat, we live on the end of a street, at the end of a court, so there's 4 houses, and they tour all of them. And then the new neighbor that came in across the street says to my other neighbor, "What's with this cat hanging out at my house?" And he says, "Well, it takes care of the critters, the rats and the iguanas." And he says, "I don't have any rats or iguanas." He says,
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
That is exactly it
Yeah,
too.
there you go.
I mean, you have them here. I mean, the
You don't want-
Key Largo wood rat is protected. It's a protected species
that
down here.
crazy?
So it's not something you want to. You know, I don't.
Yeah, well, we
"You
used to have
can't
some-
kill them, but the rats, the cats, I
We'll
don't
keep
think
them at bay. Yeah, the cats aren't going to go to prison
Yeah,
for
they
it.
So anyways, the caprese with the mozzarella and the fresh tomato and the balsamic vinegar.
And then this with the wine. What do you think? And because of the fresh
One more
herb in
bite.
it, what I like.
I think when I put that on there, it gave me a little tingling on the edge of my tongue. It really, the sweetness really hit it from this
Yeah.
this crema gourmet, the Nera. Yeah, that's pretty good, but I still feel it. I feel the tingling sensation from the wine.
Now we're going to do one more taste before we
Okay.
start wrapping things up
Sure.
here. I'd like to try. Tell me what that's all about here.
This right here.
The meat, guys,
is-
going for the meat.
Yes, the meat
bottom.
for the meat. Yes, this is a chicken sausage
Oh,
with embedded with cheddar cheese, smoked
Wow.
sausage. Yes,
Smoked.
smoked chicken sausage.
I'm gonna
with
pink
cheddar
toast
cheese.
it.
Yes.
I got to finish my pink toast later. Oh, you're a pink toast.
Pink
And I'm
chocolate.
glad you
Okay.
did that. I actually have it in my notes to ask you about that, and you jumped the, you took over and started telling me about that
Yeah.
because I was like, I know tapas, but what's pinchos?
Yeah.
And
Okay, this
I mean,
is
that's the
very,
origin
this,
of the
this, the sausage is salty compared to everything else we tried.
which, with the wine being briny, should
Yeah.
change it.
And that might have something to do with the cheddar cheese that's embedded in it.
Well, that definitely changes the wine again.
Take another sip there.
I get the smokiness coming out again like we
Way
did before.
more smoky.
Yeah, the smokiness really pops out of the meat, but you lose the saltiness of the wine, that kind of brininess that we got initially goes away completely.
Yeah, it tastes like a whole different wine. How about that?
Again. So, but this was big fun. I'd like to thank Kona Kai for hosting us here with their botanical gardens and their
What a
art
fantastic
gallery.
place. I mean, my first time here. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And we can even take a walk down to the beach there and take a look at things. And you know, my awesome guest today. I think it was just a good time.
It was.
You know,
Thank you
us
for
sitting
inviting
together.
me.
We've known each other. I think I've known you for at least 10, 15 years. How long have you
Yeah,
been here?
at least that.
Yeah, me too. I've been down here for 20
Before
plus years.
before me.
Just giving it low. Giving it
Yeah.
low.
And yeah, and Craig, of course, obviously he's going to be coming back and visiting us again at a couple more of our events.
You go to
here.
Spain,
Every
I'm
time,
having a
every
show.
time I go to Spain.
Yeah.
I
Come.
I
You're a
start.
man. I know you haven't been
There's
there
plenty
yet.
of wines
We got to
in
make
Spain.
that trip.
Exactly. So
haven't
we
been.
got some more. I've got some Albareños. We got
Yeah,
some.
yeah, Albareños.
So let me take
some
a look at
more
this
stuff.
cork over here before we're done.
Sure.
Let me examine the cork. Okay.
And,
let's see here.
And again, aggc.info, A Grape Guy Consulting, aggc.info. If you guys want to take the course,
And it's very
It's fun.
affordable.
It's very
This is a really healthy cork. It's a little squishy. There's no
big.
stain on it or anything.
Well, you see the wetness
A
on it
little
because it's a
bit.
white wine, but there's no big streaks all the way across. It jumps down a little bit in a couple spots,
bit,
but
yeah.
that's normal. And you just sniffed it. Oh, don't sniff it.
Don't sniff it.
Don't sniff it.
You're not supposed to sniff.
It smells like cork.
So sniffing
It's
a cork is like old school stuff.
It's very old school.
Don't sniff your cork.
Don't sniff the
All right,
cork.
That's
Yeah, you go like
6
this.
things I've learned.
Like,
Really?
see?
You're
Yeah, don't sniff
serious?
the cork.
So if you sniff a cork, then
I
they
was
know
just
that.
I was just reading something. Yeah, that's like old school people.
Oh, that's so funny.
In fact,
I'm
I just
old
said
school.
something on.
my dad,
think- I
my
think it was
dad's
wine
so
tasting.
dad. I mean, you're
Funny.
gonna sniff the cork, but I love you.
So what do you
I love
do? Okay, so let's finale. What do I do when the waiter
When they put it down.
sends me the
So,
cork?
so,
okay.
so the
let
waiter
me-
puts
let
it
me-
down
let
for
me
you.
Not look
The
foolish.
first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at it and you're going to look for streaks. So you see a couple little streaks here, but nothing very bad.
Right.
No.
You're going to squeeze it
You're gonna squeeze it.
and see if it's dry or not. This is
Okay.
good. And then you put it down and go,
That's it.
good.
He's already
Sniff
moving
the
on
cork.
almost.
Yeah. And then he's pouring your wine already.
Yeah,
once
yeah.
once he puts it down, he's pouring your wine but what this tells you is
It's
the
a good
flaws, the potential flaws that could be in the wine.
Right.
So if it's dry and crumbly, it could be vinegar. You know, could have that vinegar smell to it because it got too much oxygen to
Okay.
it. If it's got the big streaks, could be matterized.
Okay.
The only thing you can't tell from this is if it's corked. And the term corked means that there's a bacteria that's in cork trees that actually will make your wine taste and smell like moldy cardboard.
You don't want moldy cardboard.
And that's the problem. We talked about the 5 to 8% failure rate on corks. Well, probably the majority of that is from the trees, the cork trees having the taint in it.
There's a
The-
cork
the-
tree?
It's a cork tree. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
where
cork
corks
tree.
come from.
All right, I think that's the 8th thing I learned
There
today.
you go.
All right, 8
we have a-
shows, 8 lessons.
So we had a lot of
Right.
fun. I hope you had a lot of fun with us. I'll be back again next week with some more. I think I'm doing red wine next week. I'll have to take a look and
You have
see.
your
I'll let you
location
know. Look at, there's Millie from last week saying hi to everybody.
Hey.
Hi, Millie.
Salute to you. Yes.
Millie, we talked about you in the class, making sure you took that, and we're gonna see what you learned.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be bringing you back, Millie,
Bringing
pretty
you
soon.
back, girl.
And yeah, so look on Monday on social media. If you want to, go onto the website and sign up. We'll send you an email letting you know what we're doing, when we're doing it. Just having some fun.
Yeah.
And who's going to be palling around and poking
Hey,
around with
it's
me.
great to be the guest. You get some wine, you get to talk wine. It's a lovely
You
time.
get to get a little grub and
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you
Well,
never
when
know
you're
what
with
you're
the
in for.
charcuterie queen over
So,
here.
yes,
exactly.
Thank you. Thanks,
Island
guys.
Queen.
Island Queen.
So remember,
Charcuterie.
Salute.
stayadventurous.com
Yes.
to Island Queen
Queen
Charcuterie
Charcuterie
Art on Facebook, and of course aggc.info. Come check our stuff out, and we'll
Thank
see
you.
everybody next week.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Cheers.
guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.